Hello and welcome back to Simply Gingy. My name is Anna and this is my channel where I like to talk about my irrational amount of hobbies, mainly knitting, journaling, and reading. Today we are obviously talking about journaling. It's been a while since I've sat down and caught up with y'all about what nonsense I'm doing in that, and nothing is working. That is the consensus, or that is the conclusion. Nothing is working. So I thought that we would just do a little chat about, since the last time we spoke, kind of a little bit of a rundown about what I was doing and where I am now. So last year I had plans. My plans for the year were essentially to work entirely in a Hobonichi original, the A6 size. This is what I had ordered from Hobonichi. I also got some 5-year journals for memory keeping for my kids, but this was going to be my main planner journal for the year, was this guy. But before 2020, what year is it? 2025 started, I started watching too much planner YouTube, and I started watching, I'll put their channel name on the screen here, I can't think of what it is right now, as well as Lindseyscribbles, and I decided that I needed a Ringbound planner. So this is a personal Ringbound planner. This is like a cheap one that I literally got for $5 on Amazon, but the purpose was to see if this is something that I enjoyed and liked. So I loved this planner. I loved being in it. There's something very, very nostalgic about a Ringbound planner, especially if you are, of a similar age to me. So if you're, getting close to 30, early 30s, the planner YouTube, when I was like younger, when I was getting into watching YouTube videos, was a lot of Filofax, a lot of freaking clever setups. So I've always wanted a Ringbound planner, and so this is very nostalgic, and I loved it very much. My kids have like knocked it off the table when it was open, so I put it in upside down by accident after I'd stopped working on it. So I'm gonna do like a very quick flip through of what I was using this for and how I was using this. I'm not in this anymore, and I'm a little bit sad about it. I actually had a whole discussion with my husband before I decided to not be in it anymore, and I might come back to it because it does make me very happy to use. So I did at some point have like a cover page and stuff, but when it fell out, it's gone now. So the first thing, obviously, well, I even not, because this is turned into a mess. Okay, so in the beginning, I had kind of trackers set up. So I had, this is, I believe, Lindseyscribbles meal planners. I had a couple of those in here, and then I think this is still Lindseyscribbles, her monthly logs, I'm not sure, or her yearly, like full yearly log. I was using it to track sleep, and because I had printed it out like on a letter size paper, I had two, so this one was not being used, but this one I was going to use to track my sleep. I had an inbox. This is just a Lindseyscribbles insert, like daily insert. Oh, and then on the back I was tracking my cycle as well. Just kind of random planning stuff. This is pages that came with this planner that I would just use when I wanted to kind of like have, when I needed to organize my brain a little bit. Okay, so then this is the actual monthly pages. These were the Peanuts Planner Co. I believe these are free, the monthlies for the year, and so I was using them like monthlies. I really like these pages. I definitely recommend them if you're gonna do a personal rings, or she probably has other sizes actually. Okay, this is the person that I was watching, Sleepy Notes Club. So these were pages that she makes, And so she's the one that really inspired me to get into a ring. So I was using her pages for a little bit, and then I stopped and moved into the Lindseyscribbles pages so that I could have, instead of a bunch of monthly pages, kind of have one to represent the whole year. But these were kind of like the same things from the beginning. And then weekly, I was using Lindseyscribbles' system of habit tracking and then a running list for the week, because I don't have a job. I don't have a lot of things that need to get done on specific days a lot of times. So having just kind of a running list works really well for me. And so yeah, that kind of just happened for a few weeks. So I was in here before December 30th, but this is just what's left in here. So, but I was in here for several weeks. And it was working pretty well. And again, I'll talk about why I'm not in here anymore, because I still love it. And then daily, again, just using the Lindseyscribbles daily pages, using to-dos at the top, and then the bottom was going to be kind of quick notes, things that happened during the day. And my original intention was to continue to use this as a memory keeper and not as a planner. So I was going to use this as my planner. This was going to be kind of like a messy, dirty, quick details of the day that would later help me fill out the original better. But what was happening is that I was wanting to put my stickers in here to make these pages cute. And then I felt like I was wasting them, because then I was just going, this was like my ugly pages that I was going to put into here. And then also I was never putting stuff into here because I already wrote it down here. So it was like I just didn't have this burning desire to journal in my actual journal. So I kept working on this for a while. I do really love this system. So the two main things that took me out of this system. One, so I think that's the end of what I have in here. And then in the back, I had just some random note stuff, planning for bookbinding projects, knitting projects. Again, lots of random notes. I started to use the back for meal planning for the week and whatnot. And then I had started to even use it for some language learning stuff. So why am I not in this anymore? The main reason, the two main reasons were that I did start to do, I was doing a lot of focusing on language learning, thank you, for the year. And with that, I did actually want to have a weekly planner, and I just didn't have one that I liked for this for the rings. I guess I just felt that it wasn't the ideal system for me with wanting to have an actual like weekly day-by-day planner. Especially because the only reason I wanted the weekly was just to plan out my...
See?
Okay, no, that one has permanent ink in it. You can have this one. And then the kind of bigger reason why I switched out of this planner was because something about it, while I was enjoying journaling in the daily pages, something about it felt very impermanent, non-permanent, temporary. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that it felt like it could very easily be lost, that well, I could get like another, or even use this, because again, this was $5, to store these pages at the end of the year to kind of represent a year. Something about not having a bound book for the year just felt very weird and almost fake, like it was like it's just temporary, just, I don't have a better word than that, like temporary. It just felt like I was kind of like floating through, and that these would just no longer exist at some point. I didn't like that feeling. So I decided that this was not going to work for me. That in the end, as much as I loved rings, as much as rings systems itself makes me feel very happy due to the nostalgia of it, it was just not something that was long-term going to work for me, because it was going to make me a little bit stressed over time. that I wasn't having this kind of permanent book to put on my shelf at the end of the year. So with that in mind, I went back to just using the Hobonichi original as kind of like my main planner journal system. Kind of. So I actually started using my Hobonichi original. As you can see, I really don't have a purpose for these monthly pages. They're probably gonna stay blank. The first several weeks are completely blank because I was in the rings and I wasn't using this at all, and I don't really plan on backfilling it. This is so funny. I may need to ban myself from AO3. If you know, you know. So I started using this mostly as memory keeping, not really planning in it. Oh my gosh, I actually started another time travel fic. Wow, Anna, I have problems. But even still, I wasn't really doing a great job using it. Granted, during this time, we were preparing for a cross-country move. So that was a big part of it, is that I had a lot of going on my plate. I was a little bit stressed. And so a lot of this just got left blank. And I had the intention of going back and filling it in, and it's just gotten further and further away from it. So I probably won't. And then I started really working on this for a couple weeks. Really like using it, filling it out, filling up the pages, really loving it. Yeah. So I love the Hobonichi original, so I think I stopped at this point. Mostly because of the size. I just think it is like the cutest size ever. So what I was using while I was using this, because this was really truly just memory keeping, journaling, there was not any planning happening in here, is that I did accidentally buy a weeks. I said I wasn't going to buy a weeks this year, and here we are. I will say, I blame YouTube again. Specifically, I believe it was Brontë's channel, because she was using her Hobonichi weeks for her book journal, as well as maybe like hobbies, but I think mostly books. So that's what it was bought for. Was for my book to be a book journal. Because my book tracking for the year was going to be in just a little notebook, where every page was a book, and then I was making like a page every month for just kind of specifically for the shorter fan fictions that I was reading. But again, there's something about that, just I like having kind of like the timeline, seeing like what things I read the same day versus having to flip through the whole thing to read things about the books I was reading. So the weeks happened. And I really enjoyed this for my weekly planning, for my book tracking. And this was a big part of my emotional, stressful ramble to my husband about moving out of the rings. So I knew I was going to move into this for planning, but at the same time I really liked having it solely for books. And maybe I should have just bought a second weeks, but I don't know. Maybe I should have bought a second weeks. Maybe next year I'll buy a second weeks for planning and one for book tracking. But at the same time, I like having it all in the same, at this point I'm still just book tracking, just to be clear, but I like having them all in the same planner because it kind of gives context to your life, where you can see, you know, what books you were reading while what was happening in your life. But at the same time, with it having all my planning, will I ever actually flip back through it? I don't know. And so that is why we'll see what happens this year, and next year we'll see if I end up with 2 weeks. So at this point, I was out of this guy, my ring, and moving into this for planning. So I was still tracking books, and then on this side, I was tracking my language planning, because that was the major thing that I needed weekly pages for. And then I had moved the kind of Lindseyscribbles plan or weekly page of habit tracking and then running list over here. And this is working for me. As well as in the back, this is where I literally taped in some of the stuff from my rings that I don't actually use, as well as this is my no spin tracker that I have not been doing well with. But again, I'm blaming the cross-country move on that. We've obviously had to buy a lot of stuff to kind of refill a house. But I was using the back pages for moving some of the lists from the back of my rings, as well as using them for daily pages. I don't always need a daily page, is what I'm learning. I don't always need one, but I do like having the option. So I was using this for daily pages. But the weeks really mainly at this point is just weeks. Let's go back to the beginning here. So again, I was using the left side for my language learning as well as places that I needed to be. This side was for books, as well as I think I was doing a little bit of like knitting stuff and a little bit of just micro journaling, and then my to-dos, and then over here as well, this is like connected to this. So I would write like the books that I finished, and then over here write the like review for them. So that's what I'm doing. I am enjoying it. Oh yeah, finished object mittens, so just like quick tracking. I will say I'm kind of sad about the weeks is the paper this year. Like I'm using a fountain pen through here, and it's just obviously like this is an extra fine fountain pen. Granted, it's an extra fine Lamy, so like I know that's not necessarily the finest of pens, but it is finer than this. So I've had to move to using my Energel Clina, which is fine. Honestly, I need to buy the 0.38 because even still, it's a little broad. My daughter got her hands on this. I read a lot of fan fiction in a couple of days. I'm on a Hermione Snape kick right now. I've been on a massive Hermione Snape kick. Or Snamini or Sufmini, depending on, you know, what you want to say. I personally say Snamini, just FYI, because you obviously need to know that about me. But so yeah, I'm really liking how this is working out. My two major issues are my pen is just too thick for it. Oh, and this week I was trying something new. My daughter again got her hands on it. But I decided to move my language learning out here so that I could have more room in here for little writing bits and pieces. It just felt like it was getting really cramped on that side. But of course we'll see, because if I have this many books to write about, this isn't going to be enough room. So we'll see. You know, it's always kind of trying to find a balance. Hold on. Okay. But yeah, so this is what's been working with the weeks for me. So this has been my planner. The other thing though is, so the original I am no longer using. It just at some point when I was using it, so I was using this and actually I was feeling like I was not having enough space to write, as well as again I have spent too much time on the YouTubes and I wanted to do some more commonplacing. I was again reading a lot more and having things that I wanted to write down, and I just didn't feel like I had the space to do that because I wanted to be able to still journal the amount I was journaling. So I bought a cousin, and I'm really mad at myself for doing this because obviously I could have bought this from Hobonichi at the beginning of the year and spent like $30, but instead I bought it on Amazon for like $60. I do not regret getting the cousin. I'm very happy about it. Before I talk about the cousin, I did want to just mention, so again with my language learning, I did buy the Midori A5 books. This is not something that I think I will ever really do flip throughs of, just because it's really messy, just my notes on the two languages I'm learning. I am learning French and Russian. French, I would say I'm like in that weird gap between A2 and B1, where you're really not B1, but you're kind of not A2 anymore. So this is kind of just a lot of random notes and stuff on that. And then my Russian, I am like a complete beginner. But I did just want to talk about these books in case you were looking for an A5 journal. I know a lot of people know about them, but they are really, really nice. The paper is very nice and like thick. It's a very nice smooth texture, and it handles both the Energel Clina as well as my fountain pens really, really well. So I'm really enjoying this as just a notebook. And it has this nice line in the middle. I thought it would annoy me, but it really doesn't. And it is actually a nice way to break up the page when I need it. So just something to think about if you're looking for just a plain notebook. And so, to the Hobonichi cousin. I'm sorry, the shadows are getting kind of weird. So the Hobonichi cousin. So, because I'm not using this for a planner, most likely the monthly pages will be blank. And that does not bother me. That is kind of I think that I get so caught up on other people's opinions on their planners and feeling like they don't want any blank pages that I convince myself that that's something I care about. Yeah, it's not. I really do not care about having these pages be blank because they're not for me. Do I wish that I could buy a book that is literally just the back half of this? Yes, I do. Because then it would be smaller. But other than that, I don't care. The same with the weeklies. I might eventually use this. So I have two things that I might end up using weeklies for. One, let me try to find the page that I did it. So I have two thoughts for the weeklies. One is using it like this just kind of when I need it, when my brain is just feeling very wibbly wobbly and I need to just put out what I'm doing for the week. This doesn't happen very often, but sometimes I do need it. And so that obviously it's very handy to have this to do that. And so it's something that will probably happen maybe a couple times a month, probably not even that often. And just leave them blank so that I have them available to do that when I need it. The other option, which unfortunately would mean that I can't do this, is go back to having my book tracking on the weekly pages, which is what I was using the weekly pages last year for. And I did actually really enjoy that system. And I like the idea of having all of my memory stuff kind of in one book. So it might be something where I start tracking my books in both places to see which one I'm happier with. I definitely think that I'm not going to get rid of the weeks because I have really been enjoying it for planning, and I like that I can take this with me really easily. I can put it in any purse really and take it out in a way that obviously I'm not going to do with the A5. But I did really like flipping through this and having all of my books, and I was printing out the covers of the books, and so I might start double tracking things just so I can decide where I would prefer them to live. Otherwise, if these stay blank for most of the year, I'm fine with that. It really doesn't bother me. And then obviously a lot of this is blank because I didn't move into this until, that's just a random picture that I had laying around, so I stuck it in until the end of February. And even this I think is backfilling. I think I was just copying this from my original. So you can already see I obviously needed the space. I'm very happy with the choice to move into the cousin because I immediately could fill up the space very comfortably, and I like that I was able to write different thoughts down, journal at different times during the day, where this could have been my entire page on the A6, right? I can write my different things. I wrote my 2025 goals. I had to cross out 2024. I could write quotes. It's just working really, really well. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm doing lots of quotes, doing things that my kids said, random to-do tasks. I'm trying out using different colors to not necessarily having it as this color means something, but just different colors to break up the page to denote that it's a different thought. That's something that I think Brontë does a lot in her cousin. And I really, I had a page, so I tested out some new ink that I got from Goulet Pens, which is the love of my life. I'm obsessed with this one. This is what's in my Genhao right now. And it was, I'll show you in a second. I was very excited when I started using it because it's like it's a very close match for the page. I mean, it's really not nearly as purple. It's a much more red color, but like it just looked really good. So again, just working through this, it's been really, really good to have like different thoughts. And I am using like the line to break up the page at different points, but I'm not trying to have like a specific system that I'm using the page for. I'm letting it happen just very organically every day, letting it be different. Will that change over time? So yeah, I'm just letting it happen very organically, letting the pages kind of make themselves, and it has been working out really well for me, emotionally and mentally. These pages have been very, very good. And I like having the freedom to just write random stuff. Like these are all the sweaters that I talked about in my knitting video, if you watched that, or a lot of them. Like to be able to just take notes. These are all quotes from a couple different books I was reading. And then again, not being upset with empty pages, because it doesn't bother me. This is literally a half-written sentence. And then this is when my stumble into Swannick happened. So if you need some Swannick recommendations, let me know, because I got you. These aren't even what I would consider the best ones. This was because I've read all the best ones, and these are still really good ones. Let me know if you read fan fiction, specifically Harry Potter fan fiction, and who your favorite ships are.
Mom.
Love to chat about it. But yeah, so I think this is where we're pretty much caught up here. So this has been working really well. This has been making me very, very happy. I've enjoyed it. I don't think back I just have the yarn that I have in stash and the amount, so that way I can try to plan some makes with it. But that is everything. So really what I'm using right now are these two guys. Plus, I obviously have my 5 years, which is for my kids. That's been working out really well. It's another thing of, though, I definitely have some gaps in here, and I'm not letting it bother me, especially because this is going to happen over 5 years, so a gap here and there over 5 years, not going to be a big deal. So yeah, so that is how everything's going. It's been a wild 3 months. I have, how many planners is that, like 3, 4 systems that I've already switched to? But I think this is where I'm staying for the year. So the only things that we talked about that I might change are tracking the books in here as well to see which I prefer, if I want this to be solely a planner, as well as seeing if at the end of the year I hate having the books in here, don't want the books in here, so I end up with 2 weeks next year. Is it a little bit insane that it is March and I'm already trying to figure out what I want to use for next year? So yeah, it's a little bit insane, yes, but it is what is making me happy, especially because, again, if I had bought these from Hobonichi, this would have cost me like $40. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it would have been a lot less than this. I think cost $40 on Amazon. I didn't even want this cover. I got this cover because it was the cheapest option. It has grown on me, but and this was like $60 on Amazon. That's absurd. So yeah, that is why I'm already trying to think of what I want next year, so that way I don't have to waste so much money buying things that I use for a month and go, you know what, I'm going back to what I was already using. So that is it for me today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is everything working out for you in your planner system? Are you insane like me, already trying to think of how things are going to work next year? Do you also have an obsession with Harry Potter fan fiction? What are you currently reading? Fan fiction or just normal books? I would love to hear it in the comments below, and I will talk to you all later. Bye!